No, it's all right.
So let's say everything's going well with Liz, and she gets pregnant, and she's having a baby, and you're very happy, and you're stoked to be a dad, and you're getting your little baby stuff together. Okay. And then let's say because for whatever reason you get drunk and you cheat on Liz with some other woman.
Yeah.
Liz is pissed off, and she says, you know what, fuck you, I hate you so much, I'm not going to let you have a son. I'm taking your baby away from you. I'm going to have an abortion tonight. How are you going to feel about that?
I have no control over that.
I think, no way.
So, well, first of all, no. Well,
You're definitely going to have feelings about that.
No, well, I didn't say I wouldn't have feelings. I said I have no control over that.
Okay.
Well, hear me out on this one. First of all, Liz would never do that. And second of all, if she did, what am I going to do? Physically subdue her? That's illegal. Like,
but
abortion,
it's an extreme.
Abortion is legal in my state. There is nothing to stop. I cannot legally hold her down.
No, you can't.
But that's my point. That I'm not saying that in your example that that's the smart thing to do, that that's the right thing to do, that that's the moral thing to do. I'm just saying that happens, unfortunately, sometimes. It does. I know people that sort of thing has happened to. I've heard these stories personally. I think it's tragic when it happens. People make mistakes every day. People die every day. It is a fact of life. But you can't physically, like, that you don't have a say in what she does with her body, at least in California. Now, if you go to Kansas or Mississippi...
The point of the example was that it does affect you, albeit emotionally, that you do have a dog in the fight at this point, and that you should have some
no dog
input.
in that fight in California, and I accept that. I support that, because it doesn't matter. Some people will make mistakes. Always. Some people will make mistakes, awful mistakes that they'll carry with them the rest of their life. It's not my job to judge whether or not someone's action was a mistake. That's only up to them.
Nope.
I
think we're getting off track. I'm not arguing in favor of banning abortion. I was just trying to make an example to show that you do in some way care about the issue.
Of course.
It matters.
Of course. But I do believe that all that control should be in the ladies' hands. I don't want any part of that. And I think it's up to them to stand up and really... Like, I'll support it, but it really takes... It's going to have to come from them. It's going to have to come from them, because this is their issue in my mind. It's not that I don't care, and it's not that I don't support them, but it's...
I know how to wrap that up real quick. Let's say every woman in America gets together tomorrow and says, all right, we're going to get unlimited abortion rights or no more sex. I think the bill will go through in about like 3 days. It'll be done.
Yep. Yep. It's like Cuban Missile Crisis, man. Just blockade. If they all got together and said absolutely no more sex for any of you, now watch what would happen with crime. That would go up.
Yeah, that would go. Well, gay guys, they'd be like, whatever, we're fine. But
yeah, they'd be like, okay, you guys are fucking crazy. We'll be doing. Yeah, it's absolutely that's correct.
Let's take it off to another subject here, probably the last one of the day, because we're running on about 30, 40 minutes. I'll chop this up a couple of videos.
Sure.
What do you think about video games and politics? I always found this to be another marching drum issue. Not so much that any politician ever really cared anything about video games, but so much that they can say, oh, I'll keep your children from watching violent video games, and this will tickle those little happy sensors in middle-aged people's heads and make them vote.
It's bullshit. I mean, we already found out it's bullshit because they've tried to pull this shit every single time there's a violent shooting. And what happened at that school is an awful tragedy. The one that just happened just recently, and within the last, 4 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And I can't remember what state it is, but the guy went in and shot a bunch of kids, and it was awful. And what happened? Of course, the very next day, the media was going after video games. It used to be music a lot more, and that didn't work. Then they started going after video games, and it worked a lot. After Columbine, video games, people were scared shitless of doom. Look what happened this time. They tried to play that card for about 2 weeks straight, and it was laughed off the platform.
It got blasted, man.
It got blasted, and I guarantee you it'll probably, it might come up again, but it will go away because it's ludicrous. I played video games, violent video games, watched violent movies, watched violent TV shows. I was exposed to very graphic violence, both real and imagined in the form of a video game, very early on, and I've never hurt a fly. Never. I've never even been in I've never found it necessary to be in a fight in my adult life. I've always diffused things with words, and it's always worked for me. I'm not a violent person, so I know from personal experience that video games not only didn't make me violent, but they did make my mind sharper.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
This
my
is an
problem.
interesting analogy. It's always do you ever hear the thing like, oh, crime's going up, crime's so bad, it's so unsafe. And when you look at the national crime statistics, it's dropping like 10% every year. It's like ticking down, ticking down, ticking down. And video
It's
game
still
sales are going
dropping.
up and up and up. And the funny thing is, it's video games used to be a mark of being unsociable or being antisocial. You probably remember back in the days, maybe not quite that. I don't know. Like where you had to go to the arcade to play the
Oh
cool
yeah.
games, and that was the
Oh yeah.
nerdy thing. And it was the losers in the arcade. But now the unsociable kids, the antisocial kids, are the ones that don't have games for some reason because all their friends play this game or some variety of gaming. And if you don't
Yeah.
have that, if you can't play along, then you're the loser, you're the odd man out. And it's
Yeah.
funny because it's like, oh, Call of Duty, it makes people violent. I'm like, well, about half the houses on my street must be very, very violent then because just about everybody plays the game or,
Yeah.
Battlefield or whatever.
Well, what I can say to that is like I am not about to judge anyone for how they parent their kids, but I will say for me, if I have a child, the decision to allow or not allow them to play a game like Call of Duty will be purely based on where they're at developmentally. If they are acting out a lot, I don't know if playing a violent video game hours and hours and hours and hours every day is a good thing.
No.
That doesn't necessarily mean that every fucking kid that plays a violent video game is going to be like that. I think it's really important that parents monitor. Well, again, there I'm making a judgment. If I have a kid, I believe it would be very important for me to monitor not only what my kid is playing, but who are they talking to online and what are they talking about. And
That's probably even more important.
that's really hard to monitor. And I am sympathetic to parents now because, especially parents that have like 2 jobs, like both parents have 2 jobs. There's not enough hours in the day, and video games have become so much ingrained in our culture now, and it's spiking like right now. It is becoming very mainstream. And my nieces are playing Minecraft on iPads, which blows my mind. It's impossible to ignore the fact that video games exist just like movies existed, just like the Beatles existed. You can't make it go away, and it's almost impossible to monitor it. I hear kids saying like the most awful shit on Xbox Live. I don't think it's funny anymore. I'm just like, man, if I ever heard my kids saying that, I wouldn't ever like hit them or yell at them, but I would be concerned. And like I think that kids now, if there's any kids watching this, this is not real life when you're playing Call of Duty.
No.
It's a game.
I do sometimes laugh at it. Not often. It's usually just muted, but sometimes I hear something really funny come from them. Not too often, but it is kind of sad, and I feel you on that one because the bad thing that's going to get some of these kids is the disconnect. They talk all that shit on Xbox, and then if they try that in an actual social situation, it's going to end very, very poorly. Probably.
Well, they never will. I mean, I don't believe that social interactions through things like Xbox Live is going to make someone ballsy enough to stand up to like a huge fucking dude. Human nature is human nature, and when you're actually confronted with something face to face, it'll put the fucking fear of God in you, or it won't.
Well, it's different. You're talking to a voice, a flat image. You've never met people in real life. Let's say, how would you go about this? Okay, so I went to the COD Championships recently in LA, and they had tons and tons of people there that I'd only ever seen on the internet, and, developers. We can pick on Vonderhaar here. I got so many tweets like, why didn't you punch Vonderhaar right in his face? Like, why didn't you stab this guy because he made my game lag? And I'm thinking...
fuck them.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring you with me, come side by side, and meet all these people, and then I want to see how much shit you're going to talk to an actual person face to face. Nobody does that, ever.
Well, the fucking level of aggression that I see from the internet directed towards developers and community managers, like the same shit happened to me. Like I was tapped on the shoulder and asked to interview Robert Bowling around the time that Modern Warfare 2 had like DLC at the time, and I was like, oh man, this is an honor, man. Like I love that game, and I had been watching Bowling with interviews like 2 years before because I was really obsessed with video game websites, so I had respect for him. And when I reached out to people on Twitter, I'm like, what do you guys want me to ask him? I should have known better, but the responses are, don't ask him anything, just punch him in the nuts. Yeah. And then you're an asshole if you don't do that. I know David Vonderhaar. I know he's a good dude. That dude's my friend. And I know that, like, he can be emotional, just like I can, but he fucking gives a shit, and he's trying to make an awesome game. And I love Black Ops 2. I fucking love Black Ops 2. I thought it was so good. I thought it was the best Call of Duty since COD 4. And
I have fun with it. Like, a lot of people are mad about it. It works for me. To be fair, it's the lag. Whatever compensating factors are different, MW3 is a lag fest for me. I really struggle, but then I hop on Black Ops, it runs fine, I'm happy. But I feel
Black
some
Ops
people,
2 runs so much better than Modern Warfare 3 in my mind.
but for some people, it's the other way around. Like, I put that on Twitter, and it's like 50-50. Some people love MW3, and they say they can't do Black Ops.
Well, here's my prediction there. A lot of the people that are saying they love MW3, they probably started on MW3 or MW2 or COD 4. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people that are sticking up for Black Ops probably started with Call of Duty 3, World at War, or Black Ops 1.